President of the Association of Mineworkers and Construction Union AMCU, Joseph Mathunjwa, has hinted that he might form a political party if the ANC decides to deregister the union. Mathunjwa was addressing hundreds of people at an event in Northwest to commemorate the 7th anniversary of the Marikana tragedy, when 34 miners were gunned down by police during a wage strike. Mathunjwa says they will challenge the ANC, the local government, in the local government elections first, if the union ever gets deregistered.
The reason this government of the African National Congress, they hate me, they hate AMCU, is because their alliance partner, COSATU affiliates, NUM, they allow the white monopoly capital to rob you and kill you and left you to die. And my sin was to come close to you and bandage you and pick you up and walk with you. That is my sin. They thought there will never be a good Samaritan after 1994. But Mathunjwa came to you while you were wounded. Apho babanikeza abaqashi bazenzela into abayithandayo ngani. Apho bosowukhohliwa kuba there will ever be a tomorrow. Then we came as AMCU and we became a good Samaritan, and we pick you up and we bandage you and we walk with you and we gave you a better place where you can recover from your wounds inflicted by white monopoly.
Mathunjwa also saying that the Marikana tragedy opened the eyes of the workers to how they are being exploited. So today marking 7 years since police opened fire and killed 34 mine workers in Rustenburg in 2012. Mathunjwa speaking to those workers gathered around the fateful koppie. To discuss, we're joined by SABC reporter Sentleeng Lehihi, who was there. Sentleeng, thank you. Tell us more about what he had to say and how the crowd was receiving the AMCU president today.
Good evening to you and our viewers. We're here at the infamous koppie. Just now, we just saw the event conclude, the commemorative event that was hosted by AMCU. We heard AMCU President Joseph Mathunjwa go at length in his scathing attack of the ruling party, the ANC, speaking about, them being a bit nonchalant and blasé about the challenges that are facing the country and not dealing with them forthrightly to ensure that they're eradicated for the betterment of the society. He spoke at length as well about, pointing a finger at President Cyril Ramaphosa, for not being able to come here and make amends with the community and families of the bereaved. He spoke particularly also about the fact that now in these negotiations that unions have embarked on with mine management, the situation that is unfolding is one that could lead to perhaps even other strikes forming, which was supported by other workers that we spoke to earlier. They say that the 300 Rand offer that has been put by Sibanye is actually an insult to workers, considering that they have went from demanding 12,500 to wanting to get to a point where 17,500 is the mean. These also explain there that in fact he's putting it to government to actually come down here and really ask for peace and forgiveness for what has happened in this ground here. If you can see behind me here, many people are making their way back home. The stage is empty, the families are gone. It is clear that the numbers that were here got the message that was given and will probably then continue in the commemoration of the loved ones that were lost here. It must be noteworthy that this area here we saw bloodshed and a lot of things going on that led to conflict in this community has now turned the tide. If I can ask my colleague Mr. Zolani Alexander to pen, he'll see that this place, which was once a site of bloodshed and terror, has now become a playground for young children. It is perhaps worth noting that could this be the beginning of brand new hope hope for this community of Marikana following the tragedy that has happened in this area. We have also understood that in Mr. Mathunjwa's presentation or speech in the commemoration, he made it very clear that the families of the bereaved are still struggling to come to terms with what happened because of the sheer brutality that their loved ones had to die under. He also went at length to speak about why it's very necessary that they as workers unite and ensure that they put enough pressure on the mine management to ensure that they get the much needed increment in their salaries that will better their livelihoods and better their circumstances. As you understand, this area, Marikana, is an area of a lot of squalor. You see, if you look at the horizon there's many shacks, Apollo lights, there's no roads, there's literally a sheer lack of services that is needed to be addressed here. We'll keep coming back to this community for many years to come as the nation and the world will pay homage to those who lost their lives.
Sentleeng, Lonman has been criticized in the past for not giving workers this day off. It's now been bought by Sibanye-Stillwater. Do you know what arrangements were made if those miners were allowed to be there, if they were miners who weren't on shift, or what was the situation?
We've been able to speak to Sibanye-Stillwater, even if the company did not organize a formal public commemorative event. They said that they'd committed themselves to honoring the memory of those lost here and ensuring that those affected would be able to also, dwell in the memory and pay their respects. They said that since the beginning of this week, they've been holding prayer meetings in their shafts and various operations. They also made it clear that they would allow workers to come here who've been affected, in fact all of their workforce, because it is not only the workers that were attacked or injured on the day of the events that were affected, but it's also the colleagues who have to deal with the fact that the people that they worked with were lost in such a tragic manner.
There's a lot of outstanding issues here. Compensation for the victims still being worked out. Not a single police officer prosecuted, maybe for what happened before August the 16th, but not for what happened today, 7 years ago. What are the mine workers themselves saying about the seeming delays?
It is quite interesting to note that this commemoration falls on the very week that we saw the former provincial police commissioner, Bembe, and 3 other accused, sit in court in Mokwasi and face the charges, 4 counts of murder for killings that actually occurred here at the koppie on the 16th of August 2012. But speaking to those who were affected, being the workers and the survivors, they believe that this is not in fact a reflection of justice. They cannot only single out three individuals and and say that no, these are the individuals that are responsible. They say that there needs to be an elevation of responsibility, that the people at the very top should take responsibility and be held accountable for the decisions that were taken that led to the tragedy of August 16th.
And finally, Sentleeng, Mathunjwa himself warning of another possible strike, wage negotiations underway at the moment. Tell us what was said about that.
In fact, Francis, not just Mathunjwa, but his AMCU members. We spoke to workers earlier, asking them that what do they make of the 300 Rand offer that was made by Sibanye, and could it be perhaps at the beginning of more tensions to come? They made it very clear that this offer is unacceptable. In Mathunjwa's words, this is a provocation of workers. This is really denying and not coming to terms with what workers have been fighting for all along. They're saying that 300 is totally unnecessary when they had in fact said, rather let us begin negotiations from 1,000 Rand mark. They say that this is clearly a show by Sibanye that they are not willing to meet the workers halfway and ensure that there's proper synergy for more productivity for the betterment of all.
All right, wrapping up today's commemoration. Thank you very much, SABC reporter Sentleeng Lehihi.